New at 11 o'clock on this day where many felt divided, perspective came in an unlikely place, a funeral home in Hickory. 5-year-old Jake Leatherman is one of our longtime Molly's kids we follow with uphill medical battles. He died last week from leukemia. Jake's mom reached out with a long shot request, she said, that involved NASCAR. What happened next is both bittersweet and beautiful. Our Sarah Blake Morgan and I both attended Jake's funeral today. We have a story for you we put together to honor Jake and to showcase the power of love. I want to give my son the send-off he deserves, Crystal Leatherman wrote. Do you know anyone who would be willing to come in a NASCAR uniform and help carry my baby? After I posted about Crystal's request last week, response was massive. The loving, family-oriented NASCAR world responded with thousands of messages.
God took him home to be with him in heaven.
Fast forward to noon on Wednesday at a funeral home in Hickory.
Y'all are Jake's hero. I'm a fan, but Jake's my hero.
Jake Leatherman fought a nasty form of leukemia his entire 5 years of life. But he never let cancer define him. Despite surgeries and scans and chemos, Jake was just a little boy. Legos, toys, and yes, cars, his favorite things surrounded his tiny casket.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
If you've ever been to a funeral for a child, you know emotions run high. Today was no different.
It's the power of love and it's the power of people.
Even the toughest of guys, driver Joey Logano, had trouble keeping it together. Joey's wife, Brittany, actually brought this racing suit that draped Jake's body. He was buried with it. In a powerful moment, Jake's 13-year-old cousin sang Amazing Grace. When her childlike voice faltered, the crowd joined in, lifting her to the end. They filed out after the service one by one. Pallbearers included crew members from the numbers 48, 43, 18, and 88 cars. Think about that. Competing teams coming together to carry a little boy home. Thank you, NASCAR, for helping this Hickory family in their darkest hour. But it might be the perspective you show today that teaches us all a lesson. Divided people can come together when it matters most. Harrisburg Elementary School students are here to celebrate a story, which actually began 5 weeks ago at the Ritz-Carlton in Uptown Charlotte.
What do you say we make another dream come true?
Charlotte charity Dream On 3 was in the midst of its annual gala, which I was honored to MC. Dream On 3 grants sports dreams. They introduce kids to their sports heroes. But when we asked 7-year-old Jonathan Rogers who he wanted to meet,
Who is your hero?
Fully expecting him to say Thomas Davis. Do you know what he said?
What did he say?
Jesus.
Jesus is a good answer.
I love it. I love it. I'm a strong believer in Christ, and I feel like all things are possible as long as we believe in him.
his answer grounded all of us, and I rephrased.
Who is your favorite team? The Panthers are your favorite team. I'm going to let you talk in your mom's microphone. We can probably do something more about the Panthers than we can Jesus.
Jonathan said Thomas Davis, number 58, is who he loves best. Turns out TD,
Thomas Davis and Jonathan, baby,
had made a video for Jonathan. That night, he invited the third grader to hang out for a day. Fast forward to now.
I'm very excited, just really share my world with Jonathan.
Thomas is in Cabarrus County to deliver on that promise he made weeks ago.
The kids don't know you're here. The school has no idea. They're coming in for a school assembly. They don't know Thomas Davis is here.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. When you catch them off guard like that, the energy level is extremely high, the excitement level is high.
Dream On 3 enters the stage. They throw out t-shirts. Kids are screaming. Jonathan is brought up front. And with one big announcement,
Thomas Davis, come on out, Thomas!
The Carolina Panthers linebacker surprises Jonathan in real life.
What was your dream again?
I'm gonna go to your house.
Yes, Jonathan's dream was to spend a day with me. And Jonathan, well, today is that day. Today is the day that we're gonna just really enjoy each other's company.
Look closely. Jonathan doesn't react much facially. He generally doesn't in life, but his fists are excitedly pumping by his side. After an all-school cheer,
1, 2, 3.
Dream On 3!
Thomas and Jonathan are off. They get in Thomas's car, and a police escort takes them from Harrisburg to B of A Stadium. We have pictures of what happened next. A tour of the weight room and locker room, and then a trip to Thomas's house. They played hoops on Thomas's court and video games in Thomas's arcade. They shot pool and spent hours all afternoon and into the night enjoying each other's company. It's exactly, Thomas said, what he wanted.
Being in the position that we're in as professional athletes, I feel like, it's our duty and it's our job to be able to reach back, interact with the community, and days like today just really puts everything into perspective for me.
Imagine this teenager was your son. Imagine for 2 years you watched him get worse. You knew he needed a kidney, but no donor was appearing and you weren't a match. What would you do? John's school nurse came up with the answer and the gift of life. This special report, all new for you, now at 6.
I just wasn't ready. I just didn't really understand what was happening.
6 months ago, John Burgess was heading for a wheelchair.
My nerves didn't really work, so it was hard to walk and stuff.
He needed a new kidney.
Was there ever a point you thought, I might not find a donor?
No, I thought it would happen eventually.
This is a nurse.
Susan Johnson says that's how John saw life, positive, even when he'd walk into her school office stumbling and in pain.
He was a very determined young man.
Nurse Johnson's trained eyes saw it all.
We got to the point that he couldn't tie his own shoes, had trouble gripping a pencil, even using a computer, the keys on a computer.
She knew it was critical.
What can you do?
The answer came to her in the middle of the night.
An idea popped into my head. Well, the only way to find a kidney is to get the word out, and to get the word out to thousands of people.
With family permission, Susan wrote a compelling email to all of South Iredell High School. The athletic director sent her note to his church. That church pastor sent it on to a network of ministers. Meantime, the school guidance counselor sent Susan's email to me. I wrote about John on Facebook as one of our Molly's kids. Susan's original email kept getting forwarded. Facebook posts kept getting shared, and suddenly, Carolina's Medical Center got a call. The hospital quickly turned around and notified John's parents.
They couldn't reveal who it was, because at that point he was anonymous.
Mr. Anonymous was an absolute perfect match. Doctors say they knew immediately.
The kidney started working on the operating table.
5 days after their surgeries, the donor revealed himself to John. His name was Todd Deaver. He was a pastor who lived in Louisiana.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, we've been consumed by this for 2 years.
Let's review. A 46-year-old man living out of state, father of 4, reads about a kid he doesn't know online and flies into town to donate a kidney? Who does that? We had to know. We had to track this man down.
That was the first major surgery of my life.
We found Todd, a traveling pastor, in the few hours he was back in Charlotte for a 6-month donor checkup.
The recovery's going great. I'm feeling totally back to normal. It was just something that I felt the Lord was leading me to do, even though at the time I didn't know anyone who needed a kidney transplant.
Did you catch that? Todd was so eerily compelled to donate, he actually got pre-tested to be a living donor 3 years before ever hearing John's story.
I heard about John's situation, and he was in dire need. By that time, I had already had my testing done and had been approved to donate. I figured I'm ready to go, and he's in need, so let's do it.
Oh, that was a bad one.
Angels come in all shapes and sizes.
I won.
6 months ago, John Burgess couldn't walk. Today, he's beating me in bowling.
Oh, I won anyways.
I won anyways.
Winning in more ways than one.
You did win. You definitely won.
Oh, didn't he?
Lots of people contributed to making this story happen, but Todd Deaver, the donor, I want to be really clear, is the hero. He originally wanted to remain anonymous. After we got in touch with him, he said he might encourage someone else to be an organ donor, so he would come forward. Make no doubt, 18-year-old John Burgess in Mooresville is alive today because of Todd Deaver. We have more from Todd, we have more from the nurse, the school nurse, we have more from the doctors, and with LifeShare, an organ donation program at CMC, all now on our website, WBTV.com.
Well, Paul, tonight, Dream On 3 has done it again. The local charity made a dream come true for one of our amazing Molly's kids. 19-year-old Morgan Dunn from Matthews, a private jet and a trip to New York City, all new at 11 o'clock.
Just to see the smile on her face, she's been through a lot, and I don't think you're ever prepared for what's coming at you when you hear that your child has cancer.
Jerry Dunn's daughter, 19-year-old Morgan, fought Hodgkin's lymphoma. Jerry was supposed to be at work today.
Hey, Dad.
Instead, he came to Concord Airport to surprise Morgan in a big send-off.
We have a very special young lady who is getting ready to find out that her dream is coming true.
Morgan's dream is sports-oriented and very specific.
She's a huge fan of the New York Knicks, and she wants to see her two favorite teams, which the second team happens to be the Cavaliers, play against one another.
The game is tonight. Madison Square Garden. Morgan arrives at the airport knowing she was told to clear her calendar, but not told exactly why. First, she hears about the tickets. But then Dream on 3 says it's not just sending her to the game.
Yeah, so we've got 3 days of surprises.
And it all starts in 15 minutes with a private jet whisking her to New York.
You've got your own Dream on 3 plane. Oh, gosh. You're flying in a private jet to New York. That's so cool.
A magical trip to the Big Apple at Christmas time. These pictures were just emailed to us of Morgan arriving and taking it all in. Perfect medicine for this Matthews girl. Morgan has really been through the ringer.
I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma my freshman year of college. It was 2 weeks before finals. A couple days before my first test, I found out that I had cancer.
Her mom says she tackled that uphill battle with grace.
As she would go through her chemo, you know, even though there were some rough spells, whatever next step she had to go through, we just handled it.
Morgan was recently declared cancer-free, which allowed her to more freely enjoy Broadway, the Fashion District, and yes, some serious VIP treatment Wednesday night at the Knicks game.
I would like to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Dream on 3, 1, 2, 3,
Dream! September is over. For 30 days, we've featured amazing Molly's kids in our community, all who fight cancer. These kids are worth knowing, so stick with me for the next 90 seconds. Are you ready? Emma Holt, she's 3 years old, fighting leukemia. 3-year-old Leland Christman, again, leukemia. 17-year-old Wesley Peterson, kidney cancer. Parker Cohoward, 7 years old, a brain tumor. 12-year-old Daniel Chapman, leukemia. Austin Ferris fighting undifferentiated sarcoma. 8-year-old Kaylee Goulat had leukemia, and baby Willow Grace Hinson fights liver cancer. 5-year-old Lydia Hess, leukemia. Carter Buchero died at 3 from a brain tumor. Isabella Santos died at 7 from neuroblastoma. Levi Vetter, the superhero, fights leukemia. Grace Haynes died last Christmas of bone cancer. Aaron fought for years, died of leukemia. Maggie Zumova is beating lymphoma, and 7-year-old Davis Overcash right there, liver cancer. 11-year-old Hal Ritchie, pancreatic cancer. Maddie Hobbs has skin cancer at the age of 5, and Ivy Riddle beat a rare form of cancer in her tailbone. Brenton Florjak beat leukemia. Madison Graham, 5 years old, just started kindergarten, kidney cancer. Sam Rosebrock, all clear from neuroblastoma. Victoria Ekman, cancer in her baby eye. 4-year-old Braden Monaco fights a rare cancer found in adults, and Josh Nork, 18, beat testicular cancer. 11-year-old Christina Dantino beat leukemia. 5-year-old Emmeline Trigali beat lymphoma and neuroblastoma for 6-year-old Aubrey Hart. And 11-month-old Aria Blackburn, there you saw rare eye cancer. And last but not least, Allie Davis, September 30th, fighting lymphoma. 30 days, 30 kids, 30 stories. Childhood cancer is not rare, and hopefully this month was proof. A calendar page flip doesn't stop anything. Cancer rages on, so will we. We'll continue to follow these Molly's kids as many of them continue to fight. So thank you to all of these families for sharing your kids with us. We'll be back.